I've helped buyers move here from the GTA and from overseas for years now, and this month's numbers are some of the most telling I've seen in a while. It makes sense that you'd think our market is falling apart right now. That's a story you've been hearing all year. But the truth is, Belleville and Quinte West actually held up better than most markets until last month. And what changed is exactly what I want to show you. If you're thinking about buying or selling here in Belleville, Quinte West, my contact info is down in the description. Let's get to it. So before we look at the numbers, here's the framing that you need. The national news has been saying real estate is getting worse all year. That's all you hear. And in a lot of provinces, it's true, but here's the thing. Other provinces are dealing with a completely different market than we are here. Some places are still in full seller's market right now, and they're doing great. That's why I always tell people, pay attention to what's happening locally, not what's happening in the headlines. The national story, it's really just noise. It has no bearing locally. And this is the signal. And this month, that local signal changed. Let's walk through it. So first up, number of sales. July came in at 129. Now, on its own, that doesn't sound alarming, but here's why that number matters. May and June were two of the busiest months we've seen in over a year. Then July dropped by 26% in a single month. It makes sense that you think that spring surge meant the market was heating up, but here's what I think really happened. And a lot of that spring activity was buyers rushing to take advantage of the HST rebate on new builds. That pulls sales forward. People who might have bought in July bought in May instead. So this isn't really a crash, it's more like, I'd call it more of a hangover. And once you see that pattern in sales, the price charts are going to make a lot more sense because there's something happening with pricing that the average alone won't show you. Average sale price in July came in at $540,000. A year ago in July of 25, it was $544,000. That's about as flat as it gets. If you only looked at this chart, you'd think nothing has changed in a year. But averages can hide things, and that's exactly what's happening here. Because when you look at the median instead of the average, a very different story shows up. Median sale price peaked back in September at $551,000. In July, it's down to $505,000. That's an 8% drop over the 10-month period. And here's the part I really want you to catch. Here's what I know works. When the median drops faster than the average, it usually means the middle of the market is softening, while a small number of higher price homes are still closing and holding that average up. I was part of a deal recently where the seller priced their home right in line with similar homes in the neighborhood that had sold over the last 6 months. So on paper, that pricing made sense. But the market had kind of shifted underneath them. The new builds with that HST rebate I mentioned, they were pulling buyers away from resale. And that home didn't get the reaction, the traction the seller expected. That's the danger of pricing off what happened 6 months ago instead of what's happening right now. If you're selling, look at recent comparable sales, not the average. If you're buying, there's more room in the middle of the market than the average price suggests. Now, the price story only tells you part of it. The number that really tells you who has the power in this market right now, buyers or sellers, is inventory. And this one moved fast. Months of inventory is the number I pay the most attention to. More than 5 months, buyers have the upper hand. Less than 3 months, sellers are kind of in control. That's the buyer and seller's market. So in June, we were sitting at 3.7 months of inventory. Tight, close to that seller's market. In July, that jumped to 4.89. That's a real notable move. One of the bigger single month shifts we've had over this last year, right back towards buyer's market territory. Now, it makes sense you think spring's tight numbers meant sellers had the power, but nobody I talk to actually feels like this is a seller's market right now or has been at all. And this is the data, in my opinion, finally catching up to that feeling. So right now, I'm seeing homes that would have been priced right by early 2026 standards, they're not moving because the market has shifted kind of underneath them. Sellers are pricing off numbers that are already a few months out of date. What this means for you, if you're buying, you have more leverage than you've had in months, in my opinion. If you're selling, your expectations need to match today's numbers. Don't look at those spring numbers. And that shift in inventory shows up in one more place. How long homes are actually sitting before they sell. Days on market. It bottomed out at 37.5 in May, one of the fastest points of the year. In July, it's back up to 47.5 days. That extra 10 days in 2 months, same story as inventory, is that spring urgency fades. Buyers are are taking their time again. Fewer competing offers means less pressure to move fast. And I wouldn't be surprised if this number keeps climbing next month. I'm not gonna sit here and predict exactly where it lands, because prediction in my opinion is a fool's game, but the direction it's moving, right now it's pretty clear. So if you're selling a 5-week sale from before spring conditions, you're looking now towards 7-week sale. Price time expectations, you need to shift those. And if you're buying, you likely have more time to make a thoughtful decision than the last few months would have suggested. You've got some breathing room. So here's the honest read. I don't think prices are about to crash. My best guess is things are gonna stay pretty flat from here. But I'll say it again, predicting this market is a fool's game. And anyone who tells you they know exactly where it's headed, in whatever direction, they're guessing. What I do know is this: the spring surge wasn't the real market. It was rebate-driven urgency pulling activity forward. What you're seeing now with inventory loosening, days on market climbing, it's closer to, in my opinion, to the real pace of things. So if you're a buyer, there's no need to rush, but there are some good deals out there right now if you have time on your side. If you're selling, the biggest mistake I'm seeing is pricing off what your neighbor's house sold for in April or back in May. That market, it's not today's market. Whichever side of this you're on, buying, selling, or just trying to figure out what your next move should be, I'd rather you have the real local picture, not that national headline, that noise. That's kind of always been my goal with these videos, to tell you what's actually happening here locally. So if you want to walk through what any of this means for your specific situation, like I said, my contact info down below in the description. I'd love to have that conversation with you. Till next time.